everyone. Welcome to the Yarn and You Girl podcast. I'm Janine, your host, and this is my little channel where I get to share all my crafty adventures with you. I am so happy to spend a little bit of time with you guys every couple of weeks. And if you are a new viewer just checking out my channel for the first time, I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy it. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. And also thank you to all the new subscribers because we have gotten quite a few new subscribers in the last couple weeks. So thank you for that. And I will be doing a giveaway because we have passed 900 subscribers now. And I will be doing a giveaway for that. I will probably set it up for next episode because I might do a larger one at that point, but I have to kind of throw together some prizes. So I haven't quite come up with some prizes yet for that. So be on the lookout because I do owe you guys a 900 subscriber giveaway. And anyway, if you are a returning viewer, thank you again so much for coming back. I love hanging out with you guys. I really enjoy sharing my inspiration and being inspired by all the creative projects that everyone is working on out there in our wonderful community. So a couple of business items just to kind of talk about. First off is we are running a knit along right now. It's going from now, I believe, I don't quote me on this because I really don't remember what I said. It could be till June 15th or July 15th. I think I said June 15th, but it's fine. We'll figure it out. I'm not the most organized sometimes. Sorry, guys. But this is a fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing sometimes. So it's for the That 70s tee, which is on my mannequin right there. And it is a perfect summer t-shirt. It is for sale on Ravelry. It's called That 70s Tee. It's a fingering weight, lightweight garment, and there's quite a few other knit-alongs going on. You're welcome to double dip. I know that the girls in the Yarn Cafe are doing a summer garment knit-along, so I think that would be perfect for a summer garment because you could do it in, I mean, it's really lightweight sweater and it's a t-shirt, so, and it's fingering weight, so all the things that we, you know, still love about the yarn and the knitting you get, and you can still wear it in the summer in most cases, unless it's like 100 degrees. I might not wear it. I might not wear it. I might sweat, you know, through it if I do. But that's okay because it's still perfect for summertime weather. And I think it would qualify for their knit along. And I did give them a pattern for a giveaway as well. So they might be doing a giveaway for that also. So keep an eye out on them. There's a couple other podcasters who are going to be doing giveaways for that pattern as well. So if you're watching the podcasting community, be sure to be on the lookout for other giveaways for that. I have 2 winners for my little giveaway thread where I'm going to gift out 2 copies of the pattern to a couple of you guys. And I had a thread open last episode that talked about where your favorite vacation spot was and why you liked it so much. And I got some amazing responses, some Hawaii responses, some Greece, some Rome, Myrtle Beach, some of the places on the West Coast here near where I am. So that's really cool. I'm looking forward to maybe checking out some of those. So thank you so much for entering into that. We had 35 people enter into that. So I pulled 2 people from random number generator. And the first person is Jessica Troll. Her Ravelry name is JA Troll1. Congratulations, Jessica. I will be sending you a copy of that pattern. You don't need to get in touch with me. I'm just going to send it to your Ravelry account. So congratulations. I hope you enjoy it. I can't wait to see what yarn you're going to use to make it. And the other person who won, her name is, I don't know her full name. Her name is Sarah, and her Ravelry name is Sarah R77. So congratulations, Sarah. I really appreciate you guys entering. I hope you love the pattern, and thank you so much for supporting me. So that's awesome. Congratulations. Gotta love free stuff. So yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys are making. Let's see, that's one of the little business things. I didn't make show notes again, so I'm a little like, what do I need to do? My brain's been a little all over the place. I will talk about kind of the stuff that's been going on, I think, at the end of the episode. I've been doing it a little bit at the beginning because I kind of get running along in tangents, but maybe I'll put it at the end of the episode because there's quite a bit. I want to talk about how the show went that I was at the last time I saw you guys, I was heading into a show. And then there's some stuff going on with my mom we can talk about too, and some other things that I've been doing to keep myself busy. So first off though, let's get into knitting stuff because I have a few different things to show you guys today, which is good. I love having new and fun knits that I can share with you guys. So the first off, just in case you're wondering what I'm wearing, this is my Starburst shawl by Stephen West, and the yarn is Knitted Wit. A couple of these colors, like the pink is Knitted Wit, Victory DK. The yellow is Republic of Wool. I don't remember the name. I know that this like multicolored speckle is also Republic of Wool. And then this is Sweet Georgia DK in the Wisteria colorway. I know that for sure. And I have a hard time wearing this shawl because I feel like it's such an odd shape. So I did get in a swap a while back this, it's kind of like a diaper pin. It's like a giant pin. But let me see if I can figure out where it is and show it to you guys. Oh, I think it's this way. So there's this like giant diaper pin, really. So I've actually pinned it up because if you've seen this shawl, it's very asymmetrical. The one end is quite large and then it tapers to a skinny end, and I really don't know how to wear it. So, but I love, love, love the colors. I love the combination and how it popped, and when I wear it, it makes me feel so cheerful, like sunny, and everything's good. So I wanted to wear it today. It's been really nice here in Vancouver, but this morning was kind of chilly, and so I was going to wear it as long as I could and then probably end up having to take it off because it's supposed to get into the like high 70s and maybe 80s this week, and I'm really, really excited about that. But it means less knitwear, but that's okay. So I'm wearing this today, Stephen West Starburst shawl, and I modified it because it's written for fingering weight, and I did a DK weight instead. I really, really liked the pattern. It was fun to do, but I don't know how to wear it. So I've used this little diaper pin, and it works great because you can't even see the pin. I mean, if you had a pretty shawl pin, that would work really well because you could kind of like pin it up here, a brooch or something that matched or was a little sparkly. That would look really nice. I don't really have anything like that. Well, I have one thing like that, but it doesn't really work for these colors. So this worked for me and I love it. So that's what I'm wearing. Not a new item at all. I knit that last summer, I think. But I do have a couple things that I want to show you for finished objects. And the first one is a pair of socks. So I finished my Hermione's Everyday sock. And honestly, you guys, I have no idea where my sock blockers are. I took them to the show, and then I got home and I reset up my room. As you can see, I'm back in my room and it's set up like similarly to what it was before. But I don't have any clue what happened to my sock blockers. And that happens to me. I am not very organized, so generally stuff is just in places where I put it. And then when I look for something, I can find it because it's right in front of me. If I put things away in places where they're supposed to go, then I cannot find them later. And I'm searching all over and searching all over because my brain doesn't organize it in my head where I put it. I think, oh, this is a great place to put it this time, and I'll store it in that place. And I have a hard time then pulling it back out and going, oh yeah, this is the place for the sock blockers. This was where I was supposed to put it, and so it's got to be here. So usually everything is just kind of out, and I find it that way. So, oh well. I don't have sock blockers, but these are my Hermione Everyday socks. They are on my sparkle base, which is my rock and roll base. And that is a 75 superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% silver stellina. They are a little bit of a modification on the Hermione's Everyday. I did not do the heel on that one. This time I just did a fish lips kiss because I was working both socks at the same time. And I find that when I'm doing them 2 at a time on Magic Loop, I can do a heel flap and gusset on with 2 at a time, but it gets a little tricky when you have to pick up stitches along the flap, because reorganizing your yarn kind of ends up in a weird place, and sometimes I have to reorganize my stitches after I've done the heel. With the fish lips kiss heel, I don't have to do that. So I did a fish lips kiss heel. I did these cuff down, which that's how the pattern calls for. And this colorway is one of my hand-dyed yarns called Cantaloupe and Roses, and it's coming out a little bit softer colorway than it is in real life. It's brighter pink and orange and purple and gray kind of variegations, and I really like how it knit up. I like how there's like pseudo striping on the heels, and it looks slightly striped on the foot, but you feel like the variegation, it's not so striped, but there's not a lot of pooling going on with the colorway, so that's really good. I was happy with how that turned out. So the pattern is Hermione's Everyday Sock. It's free pattern on Ravelry. I'm sure everybody knows this sock pattern, and I am a big fan of it. It is one of the ones I don't usually knit a lot of things more than once. Sometimes I will, because sometimes I get bored. But this is one of those sock patterns that I have knit a couple times now because I really like just the texture of it. And it's enough to keep my interest. Sometimes vanilla socks give me a little bit of boredom. But again, sometimes I want that vanilla sock too. So these are done, and I'm very happy. This is like my first pair of socks that I've finished this year. I'm not in a sock place, but I did work on these while I was at the show here in Portland, and that I didn't finish them, but I got basically to the toe, so I was able to finish them just a couple days ago, and I wove in all the ends and they're done. So yay! Yay for a pair of socks. I also have one other finished object, which you guys haven't seen this at all except for maybe on Instagram, because I did post it on Instagram because I've been using Instagram as a way to keep track of the projects that I've done this year. I'm not always the best about uploading my projects onto Ravelry, however I am trying to be better about that. But on Instagram, I'm constantly posting the things that I'm working on, and so when something gets finished, I use a hashtag that's Yarn and You Girl FO and then 18, so that when I at the end of the year get to the, you know, I can look up that hashtag and say, hey, these are all the things that I've done, and I can really try to keep track of it. I have I know I've missed a couple things already this year that I haven't uploaded. I didn't upload my Kobuck hat. I have not taken pictures of these yet, but I use that more as a way to track my finished objects. So I made a hat for my nephew, Jameson. He is turning 2, and this is the Paint by Numbers hat by Plucky Knitter. It was a free pattern, I believe, at the time. I don't know if it's still free, but at the time I got it, it was a free pattern on Ravelry. And it's just this nice color work hat. And I had all of this yarn except for the red is Knit Picks Swish DK. The red is Hazelnuts, their DK, and I have no idea what the colorway is because it's an old skein that I've had. I actually bought 3 skeins for this cowl, like I needed 3 skeins. This was when I was first knitting, and I you know, so I still have like 2 skeins, like 1.5 skeins of that left. So I used a little bit of that in here just because the other colors that I had from Knit Picks in the DK were girly colors kind of, and I wanted this color work hat. Now, I had been thinking about making him a new hat, and you know, I hadn't had any plans on doing it anytime soon, but I'd been thinking about it. And then I got a call from my sister-in-law, and she said, oh, so we had a parent fail. Jameson's hat, I had made him the Banff hat a while back, which is a pattern by Tin Can Knits, and it's a color work pattern that has these lovely just trees all around it, and different height levels of trees. And I had done him this, it was a really nice color work hat for Christmas, I believe, a year and a half ago. So not last Christmas, but the Christmas before. So he had just, you know, he would have been like 9 months at the time when I gave him the hat. And it was big at the time on his head. So he had been growing into it. He was wearing it all the time. Katie said that it's his favorite hat. She would give him options to wear when they would go out, and he would always choose the hat that I made, which was like, oh, my heart just was like, oh, how sweet. He loved my hat so much. And then I guess he had like a blowout or something, and there was, you know, baby crap everywhere. And they grabbed all his clothes and his hat at the same time and threw it in the wash. Now, I know that I made that hat out of superwash wool, because I didn't make it out of acrylic, because I just don't make a lot of stuff out of acrylic. But I knew I made it out of superwash wool. But they threw it in a sanitizing cycle in the washing machine, which if you guys have one of those fancy washing machines that have all the different settings, the sanitize cycle is extra hot and it runs for a really long time. And then Katie forgot that she had the hat in there, and she threw it in the wash, or in the dryer, excuse me. And, oh, guys, I'm gonna sneeze, hang on. Okay, so I didn't think you guys would want to see that. That would not be pretty. Anyway, so she said she threw it in the dryer, and when she took it out, it was too small for anyone. So she asked me if I would knit him a hat. His birthday's coming up. She said for his birthday, would I knit him a hat? And I was like, well, that's really fortuitous, because I was planning on looking for a hat pattern anyway. So this is what I did. And I think the pattern is it might be for DK weight. I did one needle size down, because it's an adult hat pattern. And I know it probably won't fit him perfectly right away, but I think it will fit nicely, and he'll be able to grow into it, because it fits. I mean, I can put it on my head, but it's really tight, and it, you know, kind of sucks into it. So I think on him, it'll be good. I think it'll be good. And I would rather make something a little bit too big that he could grow into than something too small that he would only be able to wear for a while. So this is Paint by Numbers by Plucky Knitter, and it was a free pattern when I got it. It may still be a free pattern. I don't know. Sometimes things are only free for like a little bit, and sometimes they're free all the time. So I think that might be still free. So hopefully if you are interested in making this hat, you could do that. And I trapped the floats a little bit more frequently, because when I was at Puyallup for the Sew Expo, I spoke with a gentleman who was working the Makers Mercantile booth, and they are they're yarn and notions and all sorts of stuff. And I know they were at Vogue Knitting Live as well in Seattle. They had some really fun stuff there. I think that's where most of the gals that I was kind of walking around with bought their Addy Flexi Flips. But anyway, Makers Mercantile, and he had this gorgeous colorwork vest on, and I was admiring it, and he had knit this vest, and I was telling him how I love colorwork so much, but I have a really hard time, especially want a pair of colorwork socks. I want one. I don't know if I'll ever have one, but I want one. And he was saying, I was telling him how my gauge is always so tight around the socks. And he said if you trap your floats every like 2 to 3 stitches, I think that's what he said, about every 2 to 3 stitches, you get a little bit stretchier of a fabric. So I'm hoping if I ever do try to do another colorwork pair of socks that I will if I trap the floats every couple stitches, and it'll be great. And I did that on this one, and I feel like it does. It has some good stretch. It's not as tight as sometimes the color work can be. So for whatever reason, I can do color work hats, I can do color work, you know, yokes and things like that, but I can't seem to get the gauge right on a color work sock. But maybe someday. So anyway, those are the only finished objects that I have today. I do have a couple different things that I am working on. So first off, I started another That 70s tee. So I think I showed you guys last time that I was knitting this in O-Loops, the fashion knot. And this is yarn I just recently got in the shop. I have, it's their sparkle base, which is 75 superwash merino, 20 nylon, and 5 gold stellina. And so I did the colorway. I'm choosing a little bit lighter option than my other one. My other one has really bright contrasting sleeves. This one is a little bit softer. So I showed you guys last time I had the sleeve caps done. I believe I had them both done. But so this is the sleeve cap. I've got 2. They look really small. And some people have been like saying that they go to like put it on their sleeve and they're worried that the sleeves aren't going to fit. And you know, it doesn't look like it's going to fit on me either, but they're not. It's hard to judge how it fits just by throwing it on your shoulder. So don't be discouraged by that. Go by your measurements when you do your sleeve cap. And that can help quite a bit. If you just trust that when you add it to your sweater that it should fit per measurements on, I have in the pattern, not a schematic necessarily, but finished measurements for armholes and all that stuff. So if you have followed the pattern and your gauge is right, then you should end up with the finished dimensions listed in the pattern. So it looks really small like this, but don't be scared. It works out. So I have 2 of those, and then I have, so there's the other one. And the other color, the speckle color, I don't even think I said the color. The blue here is Spring Skies, and the speckle is Through the Trapdoor, which I'm out of Through the Trapdoor now. But I do have another lovely couple speckled options from O-Loops. So, you know, check those out on the website. And then I have finished the start of the back piece. I just need now to start my front pieces here, work down on the raglan increases, and then I can join everything to work in the round. So I have, when I finish this one, I haven't yet cast on for the front or anything like that. And it's kind of washing out here a little bit, but you can see there's like some dark purples and blues, a little bit of yellow and green. And I am really excited about this one. I think it will be a nice softer version. And the sparkles just really, I thought, would be fun for this t-shirt. So that is my That 70s tee. It's knit on a US size 5 needles. And I'm using ChowGoo 24-inch circulars, I believe. Oh no, 32. I think these are 32. But I like the ChowGoo. These are the red lace. I think the tips are really nice, and the cable's like so nice. It has no memory. It doesn't like bunch up on you when you're working. It's awesome. So that's what I'm using to knit this. I just need to cast on again for the front pieces. So hopefully I'll have some more pieces. I might have them pieced together by the time I see you guys next. The other thing I've been working on quite a bit is my, let me get it up here, my, oh, what's it called? Baubles shawl by Andrea Mowry. This is being, oh, I'm in the middle of a row. Of course I am. This is being housed in my bag by the Scrappy Thread, which I first saw these bags on Lacey's podcast, The Knitted Cupcake, and I thought they were so cool, and I talked about this one last time. Well, I went onto her website, and I got another one because they're so cute. She's kind of local to me, too, which is nice. She's in the Dalles, Dallas, Oregon, which is kind of on the way to Salem, and I thought that was really sweet. And she just does a really nice job, and I like the drawstring bags. I like how sturdy the bottom is, and it's a nice big project bag. So I'm actually going to pause for a minute. I'm going to try to get through this round because I'm in the middle of a round, of course. So that was just silly of me. And I will be back in just a second and show you where I am. Okay, so I'm back. If only I knit that fast in real life. Anyway, okay, so this, I had to move this onto a larger cable needle, or a larger needle as well. So this is my Baubles shawl, and I'm all the way, so this is section 1, this is section 2 with the brioche, section 3, section 4, and the last time I showed you guys, I was about here, and this is my little Wonder Woman lasso stitch marker that I got as a part of the junk yarn had a collaboration with somebody else who made stitch markers, and I have no idea what her name is because I cannot remember. But I did a club, and I got the stitch markers along with the skeins of yarn, and that was the Wonder Woman one. Anyway, so then I've gotten through the brioche section, the next brioche section, and I'm on to the lace section here. So this is the last lace section, and then the next section is the lovely brioche bobbly edge. So I'm getting close. It's starting, you know, it's growing quite large. Let's see if I can sort of, you know, that's just not a very good way to display it, but at least it's better than, you know, showing it on halfway done in the middle of the row. So yeah, I'm doing this also on chow goose or however you say, US size 4, and I was on a 24-inch cable, and I bumped it up to a 32-inch cable because it was starting to get a little bunchy, a little bit more work to manage moving the yarn. But I'm very, very excited. I really, really have been enjoying this pattern. Hopefully I can get through the lace relatively quickly and move on to that last mustard brioche section because I'm so excited about that section. So excited. So the yarn I am using is Magpie fibers. The color of this white speckly one for the lace is called Paris Train. This mustard colored one is Tupelo Honey. And the blue one, I can't remember. It's not coming to me. Oh, maybe it's over here. I have a couple. Nope, that's not the right one. So anyway, I put it in the show notes last time. I'll figure out what color it is. I have no idea. Yeah, but it is awesome, and I'm really, really excited. This is on her solo singles base, which I really like the singles. I like working with it. I think it'll make for a beautiful shawl. It is kind of grabby, like it's supposed to be super wash, but I can kind of tell that like the ends tend to felt together a little bit, so I'll have to be pretty careful with this, I think, when I wash it, because I don't want it felting or shrinking. So that is the other thing I've been working on quite a bit for knitting. That's all the knitting I have. I do have a crochet project that I have been working on. Because I talked to you guys last time, you know, I constantly, oh my gosh, I've got some weird curl just like standing straight up in the back. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, sidetrack. Anyway, I've been talking to you guys more, you know, in the past about my hands and about my, you know, when I knit too much. And I think most of us, if we are very into the craft that we love, it comes with a little bit of wear and tear on our bodies. So we have to be really good about taking care of them. We have to be making sure we're stretching, making sure that we're giving our body some breaks so that we don't overdo it. Well, I'm not very good at taking breaks. I don't knit very fast, and I think that's part of it, because when I sit down and I really want to see the project grow, and so because I'm not the fastest knitter, I feel like I sit down for a lot longer to see the project grow. So I decided that I was going to mix it up a bit. I've shown you guys a little bit of cross stitch that I did as kind of like therapy break for my knitting, and now I've got a little bit of crochet. So I really want a big knit afghan or crocheted afghan. I have made them in the past. That was what I did when I first learned how to crochet, and for whatever reason I'm not into, I'll start them and I don't get very far. So I was watching, I think I was looking on Pinterest or something for crochet inspirational things, or just trying to figure out what to do, and I saw this free crochet pattern. It's called Charlotte's Dream Blanket, and it is by Look What I'm Making. She has a blog. I think it's like Look What I Did, maybe. And anyway, it's free. You can find it on Ravelry. I'll put a link in the show notes, and it's really nice. It also has a video tutorial that someone did for her where it breaks down they're big granny squares, and it breaks the granny squares down into 3 sections, and you only have to make 12 of these granny squares. And I have wanted a granny square blanket for a really long time, but making 30 of them, I'm not interested in making 30. I would get bored after a few. So I thought, well, 12, and if they're big, then I'll end up with a nice big blanket, and I can do 12. I was thinking I can do 12. So I had bought a bunch of Knit Picks Swish worsted for another blanket that I was knitting. I showed you guys a while back. I was working on the Walt chevron blanket, which I love the pattern. But I love the blanket. I love the finished object. But I was not wanting to knit on the project. So I decided I would use the yarn and use it for this Charlotte's Dream crochet blanket. So I'll show you my colors. And I ended up buying a little bit more because I think I'm actually going to need a lot more than I have. But we'll see. So the main color is this taupey color. It's Squirrel Heather, I believe. Yeah, Squirrel Heather. It's the Swish worsted, which is 100% superwash merino. It's really nice to work with. Really soft and lovely worsted weight yarn, and not very expensive. One of the other colors is this one, which is Wonderland Heather. It's this light blue. And then I have, let me dig in here, Honey. And then this is Marine Heather. And the newest one I got is this one, which is Conch. So I'm hoping, I feel like the dark is a little bit too dark, but I think they kind of all go. And if I do I might get another color and maybe like a purple or something in a dark as well, because just to balance it out. I don't know. But these are the 4 colors that I have. And the way that the Charlotte's Dream blanket, the way that she shows it is she showed a different color pretty much for each of the granny squares. And I thought I would do 2 colors in each of my squares. Well, it's actually 3 colors. The main color, the Squirrel Heather, and then 2 of these colors. And I would have 4 squares that had this dark blue in the center, and then each of the other well, that won't work. That'll only be 3 squares. Sorry, it'll be 3 squares, excuse me, not 4. Got to do the math right. So 3 squares that have the dark blue in the center, and then one of them will have this corally conch color, one of them will have this, and one of them will have the honey. And then I'll do the same with the rest of them. You know, 3 squares with the honey in the center and all the other 3, and 3 squares with the wonderland blue, you know, and so on and so forth. So that's the plan. But they're big and they eat up a lot of yarn, so I'm going to need some more. I only have 3 of each of the colors, and I think I'm probably going to need 3 more of each of them, most likely. So but I'm not going to buy any more just yet. So this is only part 1 and part 2 that I'm showing you guys, because you do it in parts, and I wanted to be able to get it memorized. So I've just done part 1 and part 2 on a couple 2 so far, and I'm going to move on to part 3, and I'll do all the part 3s at the same time. That's the plan. So this is part 1 and part 2. Let me see if I have not blocked these, but I mean, it's pretty big. Sorry, this looks like it needs to be stretched out quite a bit. But anyway, they have not been blocked. So this is the Charlotte's Dream Granny Square. And it will have another good, it looks like about 2 inches around the square for part 3. So I really liked it. I liked how detailed it was. It definitely is keeping my interest. The video tutorial is awesome. It's by... the YouTube channel is called It's in a Nutshell, and she does a very good job of showing you step by step or row by row what to do. I learned how to crochet first before I did any knitting, and so crochet I can do, but I haven't done a lot of it in a long time. And some of the pattern writing and the stitches that they use now I'm not familiar with. So having the video tutorial and just following along with the gal has been awesome. So I just pop it up on YouTube and work on the section that I'm working on, and you can pause, and she has places in the video where you can click on the time stamp. So if you want row 16, you can click on the stamp for row 16, and then you can see what she's done there. So that's been really nice. So I have one full part 1 and part 2 done. And then I started another one, and this is, the ends aren't woven in on this one. So this is part 1 and part of part 2. I don't know, these colors kind of are looking a little like wild and crazy, but I'm hoping it'll balance out. So this is with the dark blue, and my plan, so I don't get bored and so I have enough distribution of color in case I do run out of color, is I'm doing, like this one I did a light blue center, dark blue outside. This one I'm doing dark blue center, the yellow outside. The next one I'll do yellow center and the conch color outside. And then I'll do the conch and the light blue. And then I'll have one of each of the center colors with all the others. And then I'll move on and do the other, round. So I've got 2 rounds of I've got one full part 1, and then 2, you work these part 2s separate. So you do just one side, and so I just have 2 more sides of part 2 to go. And I've got part 2 down now because I've done it enough. I've done it 6 different times now where I need the video tutorial a little bit, but not much anymore. So this is my second one, and I think these are gonna look really nice, and I'm going to use a squirrel heather, I think, as the next round for all of them, and maybe just edge it with a color so you just have a little bit of color when I tie them all together. I'm not sure. But this is going to be a nice big crocheted blanket, and I'm really, really liking how it's turning out. And it's fun. And I am using let's see, I can't remember the size of the hook, so I think it's a G hook maybe. I had to go out and buy a new crochet hook because I had one at one point that was really nice and had like cushy, oh, I know where I put it, hang on. See, I don't know where I put things. I put them in one spot one time, and then I move them and put them in another spot another time. It's bad. Oh, it's an H. Okay, and this is just a clover padded H hook from Joann's, and that's been really nice. It's perfect for the weight. I think the pattern she uses maybe a DK weight or a sport weight or something a little bit lighter, but I am enjoying. And so I think she calls for, this is a 5mm hook. I think she uses a 4mm hook, so it might be DK weight, but that's my guess. She uses a different kind of yarn as well, but this is what I had, and this is what I wanted the blanket out of. I want it to be nice and cozy. And doing all this crochet has actually made me think about other crochet projects that for future, not necessarily for me, but my kids' school, we have an auction every year, and each of the classrooms has to put together some type of big auction project that is then auctioned off, obviously, at the banquet that they have. And I've been wanting to teach the kids how to do crochet for a long time, because I think for learning purposes, it's a little bit easier, especially if you're just doing something basic. You're not having to fidget with multiple needles in the beginning if you're brand new. Sorry. I seem to be getting this little raspy bit in my throat every once in a while. So, but I've been waiting for the kids to be old enough to grasp the concept. So I talked to some of the moms, and what I think I'm going to do this summer is get some of the moms together and teach the moms how to crochet a granny square. Just a small, like 6x6 maybe, basic granny square, either with single crochets, and let's just go around in a circle, and then you make the you make corners, and or maybe double crochet. I think maybe double crochet, but I think we'll start with single crochet and see how that goes. And then I'll come into the classroom and teach the kids how to do it, and then I will put them all together. And possibly, I'm thinking, because the blankets, like we've done quilts in the past, I've not been a part of the quilting process because I'm not a very good quilter. But, excuse me. Sorry guys. You know when you're talking and you get like that little tickle in the back of your throat, and then it's like you have to start coughing? I think that's what's going on here. So I needed to make sure I drank some water. But anyway, moving on. I want to teach the kids how to do these crochet squares, and maybe like a 5x5 or a 6x6 square. I'm going to give them, all different colors, and then I'll seam them and sew them all together. I will put a nice edging around it. I'm also thinking of maybe figuring out a way to stitch their names onto their square so that their parents, their names are all like worked into the blanket somehow. Not sure how I'm going to do that, but that's kind of the plan. That's what's been making me think. I think that 7th graders, they're in 7th grade, so they're going to be 12. Most of them will be 12, almost 13. I think that 7th graders could definitely do that. And I've been kind of waiting because I've really wanted to do this. And people at the school have been like, you should teach the kids. We should make a blanket for, the auction project in multiple years. They've asked me about this, and I thought maybe they're not quite old enough. I want them to be able to grasp it. And I don't want the blanket to look really, like bad. But I figure if we, make a stipulation of a 5x5 or 6x6 square, it doesn't matter what their gauge is. Even if they're tighter, as long as they get to 5x5, then it'll be fine. And I can always block things if they're just a little bit off. So that's what I'm hoping for. But the blankets, like I was saying, the quilts in the past, they go for big money at the auctions. And so, we could always, use a little extra money at our school. So that's what I'm thinking about doing. This crochet project has kind of inspired me to pull out those teaching skills and go into the school because I think they're quite old enough now to understand it. So that should be pretty fun. I'll keep you guys posted on that. It might be a lot of work on my part, but we'll see. It'll be fun. So that is all the knitting and crocheting that I have done in the last couple weeks. I do have a few acquisitions, quite a few actually. I feel like I have been shopping like crazy and I want to buy more. I have to get some yarn for my next design that I'm working on. And then I want to make the Nanil Chuck Swancho, which I didn't think I was going to make at all. I did not think it was for me. I was looking at that pattern and going, really? Like, why is everybody so into this pattern? Like, everybody loves it. But then I actually saw one in person, you guys, and it was beautiful. So at the Quilt Craft and Sewing Festival here in Portland last week, this gal came in wearing one, and I cannot stop thinking about her Swancho. It was awesome. It makes me want to make one. So I've been looking at yarn, and I haven't quite bought any yet. But the yarn that is in the pattern is My Farmer's Daughter, and their tweed, which is, I have a bunch of their olive, which I bought for a sweater, but I wouldn't need the full amount that I have, and I would need to buy more of theirs. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just keep what I have for the sweater that I'm going to make. And then I carry some Queensland rustic tweed in the shop, and I got some new colorways, and I think I'm going to make a Swancho out of these new colorways. I have not bought the yarn yet, but I'm really thinking about it, and it's in my head now. I did not think it was at all something that I'd be interested in doing. And I'm kind of thinking of, like, I need to cast it on and do it, because then I could get in on the Girls in the Yarn Cafe, their Swancho along that they're doing right now, which is ending at the end of May. And maybe if I really, like, crank it out and work my tail off, I'll be able to get it done by the end of May. So part of me wants to buy the yarn right now for that. And I do have yarn in the shop for it. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I'll use that. The Queensland Rustic Tweed is supposedly a worsted weight, but it's more like a DK Sport even. It's really light. It's not worsted at all. And compared to the My Farmer's Daughter, it's definitely, which My Farmer's Daughter one that I have is a DK. This is definitely even a little bit skinnier than that. But it's a nice tweed. It's a alpaca, merino, viscose, an acrylic blend, I believe. So it has a little bit of like that rustic-y bit to it, but the tweeds are really nice. So I'm really thinking I'm gonna do it. I might just have to. So next time you see me, I might have cast on one of those. And I might have bought the yarn for it too, but I haven't bought the yarn yet for that. I did, though, buy a couple things off some destash on Ravelry, and I don't think to look on Ravelry for destash products very often, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, but some people are selling some really good yarn that you can't get a hold of regularly on Ravelry. So if you are looking for a brand and you can't seem to get in on an update, you might check the destash on Ravelry, because I found some mustache yarn on there that, you know, I saw somebody make. Oh, I saw Sarah make, she's does the Graceland Wool podcast, and she has Graceland Wool yarn dyeing company and everything, and she's out of Spokane. And I saw her, she had made these socks out of mustache yarn, and like she thought it was the apple picking colorway. Well, I happened to find the apple picking colorway on a destash. I'm so excited. So let me show you that. And it came super fast. The gal was like, sent it right away. I got it, she said it was going to come Monday, which is today. I actually got it yesterday, so I am so excited. And it's the perfect sock, which is the self-striping. I guess it's supposedly 2 skeins of perfectly matched, and they're twisted together in here. So there must be, you know, it looks like it's just 1 skein to me, but it must be 2 because that's what it says. It is 440 yards and 100 grams. And it stripes up kind of like that. I like how she shows how it stripes. So that was cool because I went on her website and she had a couple colorways, but I was like, oh, I want the apple picking colorway, and somebody had it on Ravelry. So thank you to my Ravelry friend who sent this to me. So I'm looking forward to casting on a pair of socks. I think I actually am going to be casting on just a vanilla sock with this because it's sometimes good just to have vanilla socks, you know, for on-the-go stuff. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do. We'll see. And then I found a bunch of Plucky knitter on a destash because I wanted a sweater's quantity of her primo fingering, and I found these. This gal was selling all 5 skeins, and it's like no more expensive, sometimes a little cheaper, depending, than buying it from the regular supplier. Now, I will say some of these are slightly different, so I will probably have to alternate skeins, but it's not a huge deal. The colorway is Under the Sea. It's this like seriously blue. It'll be an amazingly like bright blue sweater, and I have 5 of them on destash. That was awesome. So yeah, it's a 75-20, which is 75 superwash merino, 20 cashmere, and 5% nylon. And I've wanted a sweater in this stuff for a really long time. But it's hard sometimes to pop in and get one of her updates and get enough yarn. So here you go. I got it off a destash. But yeah, I mean, and I can tell, like I said, a couple of the skeins are slightly different in color. But that's okay because that's hand-dyed stuff. And if I, you know, I could keep I'm going to try to match up as many as possible. And then if I have to blend, it's no big deal. So I got those. And then what else did I get? Oh, I don't know why I decided I needed some Patton's Croy when I was at Joann's the other day picking up that crochet hook. This is the brown rose marl, and it's striping. And I decided I needed some of this in my life. I like my other Patton's Croy socks quite a bit. So and this is just like traditional, like virgin washable wool and a little bit of nylon. So they're very sturdy, workhorse yarn. I decided I needed some because, yeah, I just need all the things right now. And then I bought, this is the other bag I bought from Scrappy Thread. Oh, I loved this one so much. I loved the denim bottom of this one. And it's pretty stiff to begin with, but my other one has softened up so much. I am super excited about having this. It's not quite very springy for sure. And I got it on sale, and that might be why, because it is kind of wintry colors. But I love it. I was very excited about it. So this is the Scrappy Thread. She's on Etsy. She does all sorts of like piecework style bags. And I love how some of her bags actually have, so these ones have a little bit of like a measuring tape that she's done as like an accent on here. And some of her drawstring bags actually have the measuring tape as the drawstrings. And these will take a little bit to kind of work in so that I can get those drawstrings going. My other one I've warmed it up quite a bit, so it's actually like way more pliable. But I just need to work on this one a little bit because that I think it's waxed canvas. It's pretty stiff to begin with. So really, really cute. And all her bags are one of a kind because she's just constantly throwing scraps of things together. So I really, really liked this bag. Very excited to have a second one. And I think that's it for knitting and that type of thing. I did want to kind of give you guys an update though. So if you don't want to hear about what's going on in my life, then thanks for watching and I'll see you guys next time. But if you do, I wanted to kind of give you guys an update on what's been happening with my mom and some of the things that we've been doing around here in my life. So they did finally give her a diagnosis. I think they diagnosed her with Alzheimer's, but I'm not sure if that's exactly what happened because I wasn't there with them for the full appointment. She did have her screening. I think I told you guys about the full screening that she had with the social worker. And that was good. So they have put her on some medication. And so last week when I was at the show, the Portland Expo, with the Quilt Craft and Sewing Festival, on Saturday my husband came to help me pack up, and he's like, yeah, and your parents are getting a dog. I was like, what? And I was just like sidelined, completely like out of the blue. They're getting a dog, they're getting a puppy, and part of me was like, huh? What is happening here? Because they had lost their cat a couple years ago, and they kept saying that they were not getting any other animals because they didn't want to outlive the animal, or they didn't want the animal to outlive them, and they just didn't, you know, it was too hard when they lost Gracie, their cat, and all this stuff, which, okay, it made sense. But then all of a sudden I felt like it was out of the blue that they were like, and we're getting a puppy, and we're getting him tomorrow. And so, okay. So they got this dog, and he's really, really cute. I posted a picture of him on Instagram, and he is so cute. But part of me is like, I'm not sure how that's going to go over so well. So I have some mixed emotions about it. My, one side of me thinks this might be really good. It might give my mom something to focus on. Because she does get kind of obsessive about certain things. Like, she follows my dad around the house and like cleans up after him all the time. And so I think that if she gets it into her brain, like she'll be able to remember, you know, or she'll just get into a routine of like the dog needs to go out, the dog needs to go out. And he might spend a lot of time outside. They have a nice big fenced backyard, so they do have a good property for it. And they're a really smart dog. So he is a Australian Shepherd, a miniature version. I did not realize there were miniature versions of Australian Shepherds. When my dad told me they were getting an Australian Shepherd, I was like, and he was telling me that this one was only going to get 15 inches high. I was like, like Australian Shepherds are big dogs. They can get like 50 to 70 pounds. And I was looking up AKC stuff. I'm like, I don't think they got the right dog, you know, like, but they're very smart, very trainable. They are high energy, which I don't know how that's going to fly because my mom doesn't really do anything. She doesn't go for walks or anything like that, but they do have this big backyard. So he can run around quite a bit back there. And when my dad is home, my dad will do a lot of the things that need to happen. But so then they got this puppy. We've been hanging out, you know, I made sure to bring the boys over there every day because Australian Shepherds, from what I've read, they really bond to their people. They bond to their owners. And I know that if something happened to my parents, this dog would be our dog, which is, I'm totally fine with that. He's adorable, but I want him to bond with us too. So we've been spending a lot of time over there this last week. The kids want to go play with the puppy, you know, and do all that stuff. So that's been great. And it also means that I can go check in on my mom, and I have kind of a reason to see her, and not make her feel like I'm just checking in on her, you know? So, but then my dad has left for, he's in Utah right now. So he told me he had planned on leaving her, and I think I might have talked to you guys about this, but he had planned on leaving he dresses up like a cowboy, you guys, and goes to these like shoots where they do target shooting with different kinds of black powder and they have to be period specific guns, and their dress has to be period specific. So it's this big deal. It's called SAS, Single Action Shooter Society. And my dad was born in the wrong century. He should have been a cowboy. He just really should have been a cowboy. He's always loved, you know, cowboy movies. He's wanted horses. He's, you know, always just been that way. And so he does this, and it kind of gives him that outlet. And he also, so he's a computer programmer too, and he wrote the scoring software for this big group of shooters. And so they, you know, dress up like cowboys, and they do target, it's all like timed shoots and things like that. And he does the scoring for them. So he had planned on doing the scoring and helping them out with that. And then when he does the scoring, he gets to go to these shoots for free. So that's all great, but this was right after they had taken her to the doctor, and I was like, Dad, I don't think you can leave her. Like, she's pretty bad. She thinks it's 1976. Like, what if she gets out, you know, goes and drives somewhere and doesn't know where she is, or, you know, she half the time doesn't even realize she has a telephone. I'm going to try to convince him to get her a panic button or something, because she doesn't know she has a phone most of the time. She doesn't plug her phone in. She doesn't remember to turn it on, how to turn it on. Like, none of those things. So I decided, he's like, after thinking about it some more, I decided that I wanted to, that, you know, he does need his freedom, and he does need to be able to do those things so that he can be sane throughout all of this. So I took the week off of work this week, and I'm actually spending quite a bit of my time over there with my mom. I've stayed the night. My sister came on Saturday, and she stayed the night, and I've been making sure that, you know, she's eating, she's taking her medication, she's not taking extra medications, like things like that. And then also making sure that the dog is not overwhelming her. So that's just this added piece. Like, she has this brand new puppy, and, you know, she doesn't know what to do most of the time, you know. So anyway, it's kind of been a bit overwhelming with that, but things have been good this week. And like I said, she's been taking some medication, and hopefully, now the medication will not reverse any of the disease that's already happened, and it will just slow the progression of it later. So hopefully she won't experience a lot of side effects from it, and that will be good. So that's what I'm doing this week, is I'm taking the week off from my real pharmacy job and spending time making sure that she's okay. I took her to the grocery store, you know, do what she needs to do. She's pretty comfortable in her home, and she does not leave, which is nice. I'm not super worried that she will actually, like, go drive somewhere, because she's kind of an agoraphobic a little bit, and she's just does not like to leave her house. So I think she'll be fine, but I have the neighbor watching her, and then I'm watching her too. But the neighbor lady and we used to live in the house that my parents live in now, so I've known this neighbor lady for a long time. She saw me the other day, and she's like, is stuff okay with your mom? Because I went over there to check on her, and stuff just didn't seem like it was right. You know, she wasn't making a lot of sense. And I said, yeah, you know, this is what's happening. And I told her what's going on. And so she actually came over when I was over at my mom's house yesterday. She came over. She's like, hey, Janine, can I talk to you? You know, and she's like, your mom, I went over to give her my phone number in case she needed something. And get her phone number. And she's like, she told me she didn't think she had a phone, and all this other stuff, and she's like, kind of worried her. So I'm like, okay, well, here's my number, here's my dad's number, call me if you think there's a problem, you know, that way, because I'll answer it. Half the time my mom won't even answer it. Like, my family was trying to get a hold of her on Saturday after I had left her, and she didn't have her phone. She had her phone plugged in because she remembered to plug it in to charge it, but she didn't know how to turn it on, and it wasn't on because it had run out of battery. So I do have people, you know, the neighbors kind of keeping an eye out on her, and I'm going over there multiple times a day and staying the night too, to make sure things are good. So, and I know my brother's heading over there tonight to bring her dinner. But that's the other thing. She doesn't really eat a lot. Like, I think I have to remind her to eat. I feel like she's older than she is, and that's kind of a little bit frustrating, but and a little bit sad at the same time. So that's what's happening in that. So if you guys were interested and want to know where that was going, we are finally doing, you know, medication and stuff to help it. And, you know, we'll see how that goes. But the other stuff that's been going on, you know, it's been beautiful. I actually picked quite a nice week to take off. So even though I am going to be taking care of my mom, the weather, like I said, is supposed to be like 70s or 80s. And I'm very excited because Matt also has a couple days off this week. He planned on trying to be helpful as well to my mom, so he took a couple days off. And we got our stand-up paddle boards out for the first time. So my brother-in-law is a big stand-up paddle boarder, and he's one of those guys that researches everything, and he only buys like what he thinks are the best, but he buys stuff and then he tries them out, and then if it doesn't work out, he'll like resell it or something if it's not like perfect for him. So he had 4 boards and he was selling 2 of them, and one of them is an inflatable and one of them is a hard like fiberglass board, and he sold them to Matt and I for a deep discount because we've been wanting to buy boards, but they are kind of expensive. But for the family, like both of my boys can do it. They don't need a lot of training to learn how to do it. And, you know, so we just needed to get, you know, a couple boards. So we got 2 boards. We bought these 2 boards from my brother-in-law, and we got them out on Saturday and took them to Lacamas Lake. And it was sunny, but it was still pretty cold and kind of windy. So we were all like in actual like sweatshirts, things like that. I was a little optimistic, and I had my swimsuit on and like a swim shirt on underneath all the sweats and stuff, but it wasn't quite warm enough for that. So I just paddleboarded in my sweats. But I was a little nervous too because I've fallen in. I don't fall in very often, but I have fallen in before, and it was kind of cold and I wasn't expecting it. And so I was a little nervous because the last time I actually went was when I fell in. So the boys and everybody went out first, and my 2 boys went on the inflatable together. So my youngest son, he was kneeling on the back, and then Jordan was standing up and paddling. And I guess he fell in. He fell in twice. And the first time he fell in was because he was trying to splash my brother-in-law with the paddle with water, and he lost his balance and tipped over and went in. And then the second time, I guess, my brother-in-law says he wasn't, like Jordan says he wasn't splashing him, but my brother-in-law said he thought he might have been trying to splash him again. But Jordan said that wasn't the case, that I don't know what happened, but he just fell in again. So he fell in twice, and he was soaking wet. And luckily we had a change of clothes for him. I had only brought like an extra pair of shorts for whatever reason. I was really glad I did not fall in myself. But it was really fun. It was really nice. It was good to kind of get the boards out and get them wet and kind of like break them in for the year. At least like get, you know, break the seal, I guess, for the year. So we went and did that. And then we need to get a rack for the car though, because I have a Suburban, but it doesn't have a rack on the top. So it's a little tricky trying to get both the boards in the car. And we actually had them in the car and hanging out the back window. And then we're still able to kind of fit the kids in the back. And with the inflatable, you can like deflate it a little bit if you need to, and then just pump it back up. But still, it was kind of just tricky. But it was nice to sort of figure it out. So we're going to get a rack. My husband and I think, are going to take them out on Thursday. He has a day off together Thursday with me, and it's supposed to be like 80 on Thursday. So cross your fingers that the weather is nice and we can get out there and do some stand-up paddleboarding, because that's really fun. So that's this is the fun stuff that's been happening in my life. And then the other stuff, you know, it's just the other stuff. But I just wanted to keep you guys in the loop and keep you posted. So I will be having a shop update. I am working really hard this week to get everything that didn't sell from the show into my website online. And so if you're looking for me there, If you're looking for my yarn, it's not quite up yet. So I have some of it, but not all of it. So that's yarnandyou.com. And also, if you're looking for show notes and the Ravelry group, go on over to the Ravelry group. It's the Yarn and You Girl podcast group, and join in. It's a lot more active. I have a friend, Caitlin, who helped me out with the Portland's Quilt Craft and Sewing Festival. She helped me out, and she's kind of moderating it a little bit more for me because I'm not very good at some of those things. So she's getting in there and like kind of mixing it up and making sure that, you know, it's a little bit more active. So thank you, Caitlin, for doing that. And so if you want, go on over there and join in on the conversations. And there's the knit along threads are over there. Any giveaway threads that I do are all on the Ravelry group. And you can find show notes there as well, show notes on my website. And if you want to find me, I'm on Instagram as Yarn and You. And I'm sometimes on Facebook, but not very often. Anyway, thanks you guys for watching. And this one went a little bit longer, but I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye.